Hey folks, AJ, the CEO here, and there's a big elephant in the room that we need to address. And it's not just from a media ministry standpoint, it's from a ministry standpoint. And that is succession planning. So I actually wrote some notes here that I want to accent on. And this is just going to be me sharing my thoughts, but this is also a very big concern that even, I'm dealing with from a media ministry standpoint, but I think it's something that needs to be addressed ministry wide through all the ministries all over the world, to be quite honest. So let me jump to these bullet points that I want to start off with first so that you get a understanding of the seriousness of this topic. Without successors in the pipeline for whatever given ministry, media, leader of the church, musicians, usher board, trustees, deacons, treasurers, it doesn't matter. If you do not have successors in the pipeline, your ministry is rapidly approaching an expiration date. That's the main point I want y'all to remember. Ignoring this will cause your ministry to curdle, stink, mold, and possibly poison anyone that is involved. That's ranging from people who are there all the way down to children that are associated with your ministry. That is why this is important. Succession planning, meaning that you are training someone up to be able to replace you someday. This is a mindset that I've always had when I was a minister of music, teaching a choir, being a musician. I was always searching for someone who I could see an interest in them, or they revealed themselves, and I wanted to pour into them more than just someone who comes to choir rehearsal, or more than somebody who just wants to come into the media booth and press a couple of buttons. I am looking for someone that wants to ask me, hey, Mr. AJ, I see you doing all this stuff in media, but I see that you're doing something with YouTube based off of this. Could you show me something, could you show me about that? Or they're asking questions. Most of the time, they're not going to be as blunt as that. Or other people, from a choir standpoint, I've had kids or parents pull me aside and say, hey, Mr. AJ, do you give piano lessons? Something like that. That's from my standpoint with the ministries I've been associated with. But every ministry needs to have some form of succession planning. Whether it's, let's just start at the top. If your pastor is getting older, it is wise for them to find a successor, because I've been around so many churches where they didn't have a successor. Like, for example, I'll speak at home. When my dad passed, there was nobody really in line that I can recall that was being groomed to take over the pastorate there. My dad passed, and the next day it was like, we got to get somebody there to preach that Sunday. And it went for a while before they found somebody. But succession planning hopefully is to avoid stuff like that. So I ask you, most of the people who are watching this are media ministry, but y'all are involved with a lot of different ministries. Who are you raising up? Who are you pouring the knowledge that you know into somebody behind you, so that if something, God forbid, something happens with you, they can pick up the ball where you left it at, and keep running with it? Or are they going to have to start all over from scratch again? I really hope to avoid that from my media ministry, and then music ministry, anything. Really, really need to be mindful of stuff like this. And like I said, don't just try and draft somebody. Most of the time, the person who is a good candidate, they will reveal themselves. I don't believe in voluntolding anyone or voluntelling anybody or volunteering anyone. They will pick themselves. Kind of like with me, with media ministry, no one volunteered me. I picked myself. When they were looking for a president, I volunteered. They didn't pick me. I volunteered. And I think that's one thing you really need to be mindful of. Now, with that being said, please don't think that when it comes to succession planning, we're looking to just try and get rid of the older saints. You know, that's not it. It's not about trying to get rid of you. It's about taking your skill, the knowledge that you've learned in that position, and grooming someone up behind you so that they can carry on with whatever mission that you set in place, or give them the freedom to turn this ship in a different direction if it needs to be. You know, that was me. Our media went completely different than how it was before I was there, not negating anybody before me, but it's like we want to empower whoever that's coming behind us with the skills and the knowledge that we know, so that they have a firm foundation to take off from, instead of forcing them to start from ground zero all over again. So again, pastors, ministers, leaders in whatever ministry, if you don't have some type of succession planning of someone that you're grooming, an apprentice or whatever you want to call it, you really, really need to actively get one. And also, I want to address this as well too. This is not a way to get you to give up your power in whatever position you're in. I mean, honestly, I think that's a stupid mindset. And it's a self-defeating mindset if I don't want to train up nobody else because I don't want to let go of my power. Hate to be the bearer of, obvious news, but we're not going to be here forever. That's why I pour myself as much as I possibly can into these videos to try and train somebody as best as I can, because, hey, I don't have anybody right now that I'm able to pour into in these two fields, but I can pour into this channel and I'm reaching other people all over the world. That is me sharing what I do know. If anybody's in my ministry that's interested, kids, whatever, they can come up and see the knowledge that I've left to try and hand off and document and preserve what I do know as best as I possibly can. And if I'm not here, somebody can just watch the videos behind me. So that's one thing. So I don't know. This was just really was on me to talk about this, because I'm, with all the churches that I'm going to, doing designs and things like that, the thing I'm noticing is a lot of them, it's like they don't have any redundancy or a successor in place to learn this stuff. Now, again, I'll teach whoever. If you're 65 and older, hey, I have no issue with teaching and sharing with you no matter what. But even if I'm pouring into y'all need to be able to pour into somebody else. That's what I've learned so much. When you learn so much more when you actually have to re-articulate what you do know and hand it down to somebody else. You will grow just from being able to do that. That's how much I've grown just from doing this, because I have to learn different methods to communicate to what's up here. It doesn't always make sense to everybody on the other side of this lens, but I am learning on how to train other successors to do what I'm doing. You might not be at Antioch Baptist Church or whatever church I happen to be at or ministry I happen to be at, but I want to be able to pass that on. And I really encourage y'all to do something like that. So no matter what your skill set is, no matter what ministry you are, please try and find a successor so you can pour into them the things that you know, so that when it's your time to go, whether you're voluntarily leaving or if you're getting called to glory, that this ministry that you are heading does not fall apart and they have to start from ground zero all over again because you either didn't train anybody or were unwilling to train anyone so that it can keep moving forward. So let me know down below, do you have a successor in mind? Does your ministry have succession planning? Because again, don't feel bad about it, because out of the hundreds and hundreds of ministries that I've been dealing with just in the last 2 years, a lot of them don't have that stuff in place. So this is kind of a wake-up call for us all that we need to do what we can to train up other people so that when we decide to transition, that whatever we're heading up is going to be handled effectively and it just doesn't fall apart. So hope that helps. If you like this type of content, appreciate a like, consider subscribing, hit that bell, that way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. Thanks for watching, folks. This is AJ, and we will catch you on the next video. Later.